Hi everyone, happy Wednesday. It's Kim here with FEWL and welcome to our Wednesday Facebook Live event. This week it's just me talking to you about progesterone. Jeff isn't able to be here with us, so it's just going to be me. Tonight I'm going to take some time to talk to you about progesterone. If you've noticed over the last few weeks, we've been covering the hormones found in the comprehensive urine test that we use called the Dutch test, and going over just basic information about the hormones that are tested on this profile. And so tonight I'd like to continue that conversation and talk to you specifically about progesterone. So I'm going to go into the importance of progesterone, what it does for the body, and why both men and women need progesterone. And then I'll take a few minutes to talk about the symptoms of low progesterone, the symptoms of high progesterone, and then some of the things that you can do to balance your progesterone to make sure you're in a good range. If we have some time after that, I'll take about 20 minutes to do that. And if there's some time left over, then we can do some question and answers. So if you have any questions, please type it in for me, and I'll be happy to spend some time with your specific question. So progesterone. Progesterone, most of us know about progesterone because it's an important hormone for conception, and it's a really important hormone for gestation, for pregnancy and gestation. But a lot of people don't understand the importance of this hormone throughout your entire life. For a woman's entire life, she needs progesterone, but men also need progesterone as well for their well-being and for aging well and being healthy into our older years. Progesterone is really significant. It is a crucial aspect in conception, infertility, conception, and in childbirth. Actually, the name means promoting gestation. So progesterone is to promote gestation. So that really designates the importance of this hormone in the reproductive years. But as I said earlier, you need progesterone through your entire life. It's significantly important. In fact, I realized when I was researching this that there are receptor sites for progesterone pretty much everywhere in your entire body, in your brain, your nervous system, your heart, your skin, your bones, pretty much everywhere. So I think that we really underestimate the importance of progesterone. For women in our reproductive years, progesterone is secreted in the second half of the menstrual cycle. So after ovulation is when women get this big surge of progesterone. It's produced by the ovaries, and if a pregnancy occurs, then once the placenta is growing and attached, it starts to take over the production of progesterone, and progesterone surges to 100 to 200 times the pre-pregnancy levels to sustain the pregnancy. So it's a very important hormone for pregnancy, and to get pregnant, you have to have a good amount of progesterone, and to maintain a pregnancy, you have to have really good levels of progesterone. But in both men and women, progesterone is synthesized from cholesterol in the adrenal glands, where it's a necessary precursor for other steroid hormones like estrogen and testosterone. So after menopause, women still need progesterone, but since menopause is when ovaries fail and stop producing estrogen and progesterone, so the adrenals, if you have healthy adrenals, the adrenals are going to kick in and take over the production of progesterone as we age. So you have to keep your adrenals healthy as we age so that they can take over and produce the progesterone that you need to be healthy as we get older. So as we've talked about in many other videos, keeping your adrenals healthy for cortisol and for other hormones is really crucial as you age. Interestingly, I found this really, really fascinating that progesterone is also produced by nervous system cells. It's actually made by the myelin sheath cells, and that's the insulation that protects the nerves. So progesterone is a really important component in myelination and recovery from traumatic brain injuries. So we're actually using and supplementing with progesterone for traumatic brain injuries to help heal and recover. So I thought that was really fascinating. Other research shows that progesterone stimulates the brain's GABA receptors, and that's the feel-good, calming neurotransmitter. I think this is one of the reasons why I see so many of my clients in my practice. So FEWL sees so many clients that suffer from depression. I often see that they also have low progesterone. So there's a definite correlation there with anxiety, depression, and progesterone levels in your body. So besides talking about nervous system and fertility, progesterone also has a lot of other roles. So cognition, mood, inflammation. It's really helpful in normalizing inflammation levels in the body. Mitochondrial function. It supports healthier mitochondrial function. Neurogenesis and regeneration of the nervous tissue and other tissues in the body. It helps to normalize blood sugar levels as well. Boosts thyroid production. It helps us use energy for fat for energy. So if you're trying to lose weight, one of the reasons that you're struggling with weight loss could be low progesterone. It has, as I mentioned earlier, the beneficial anti-inflammatory effects. It can help reduce swelling and inflammation in the body. And again, as I said, has a calming effect and can really help with sleep. So people that might be suffering from insomnia and that have tried everything, I sometimes recommend that we get this test to see what their progesterone levels are. Progesterone, like other hormones, can either be too high or it can be too low. And like other hormones, progesterone needs to be in balance or in ratio with these other hormones that are, especially those that our adrenals are producing. Progesterone and estrogen need to be in a healthy ratio to each other. Okay, estrogen actually promotes the overgrowth and enlargement of hormone-sensitive cells. And progesterone is essential to slow this proliferation of these cells and promote normal cell development. Thus, progesterone provides an important estrogen balancing and even an anti-cancer effect. In fact, without sufficient progesterone, the body becomes estrogen dominant and the estrogen can become really out of control. We call this unopposed estrogen or estrogen dominance, and we've talked about this in other videos. It's really important that we manage estrogen levels in the body, and progesterone is important in managing and helping to keep that ratio intact. Excess estrogen or estrogen imitators, like those that we find in the environment, we call those EDCs, the endocrine disrupting chemicals, cause serious health problems for both men and women. And progesterone is, as I said earlier, a natural antagonist to this estrogen that's made in the body, but also estrogen that we're exposed to from the environment that comes in and causes our estrogen levels to rise. So you can have normal or even low levels of estrogen, but if your progesterone is also too low and not in the proper ratio with the estrogen, you can have very strong symptoms of estrogen dominance. And I'm going to talk about what the different symptoms of low estrogen and high estrogen are, low progesterone and high progesterone. But definitely the symptoms of low progesterone are very equal to the symptoms of high estrogen. So I can't stress the importance enough of keeping your estrogen in balance. As we've talked about in other videos, progesterone helps to keep estrogen in balance. So it's, again, a very, very important hormone that needs to be balanced with other hormones. Progesterone, low progesterone symptoms. Low progesterone symptoms are a total bummer. For those of you, and I can say this from personal experience, having low progesterone myself, it is not fun. You definitely know something is wrong when your progesterone is low. The obvious ones are menstrual irregularities and PMS, infertility, skin problems, acne, dry skin, brittle nails, depression, anxiety, drastic mood swings, low libido or no libido at all is a pretty common symptom. Fatigue and foggy thinking, really struggling with concentration and memory can be a problem as well. slow metabolism, especially belly fat, and really having a hard time getting rid of the belly fat. Sugar cravings can be horrible, and anyone that suffers from PMS usually has that experience of sugar cravings. Migraines, not just headaches, but migraines. It can be dull headaches, but very commonly pretty serious migraines. Bloating, joint pain and inflammation, even allergy symptoms can be common when progesterone is low. High progesterone is a lot less common, but I'll just mention briefly that if your progesterone is too high, you can have breast tenderness, mood swings, anxiety, depression, bloating, loss of libido, acne, greasy skin, weight gain, hot flashes, urinary infections, headaches, incontinence, similar symptoms to the low progesterone, which is another reason why I recommend that if you have these symptoms that you test to see where you're at, because low progesterone and high progesterone can be very similar in the symptoms, and if you know exactly where you're at, then we know exactly what to do to support you in getting back into balance. One of the most common high progesterone symptoms is tiredness. Progesterone levels send signals to the brain to slow down. So for this reason, progesterone is sometimes used by people with epilepsy and with seizures, because it can help manage and control seizures. So for some women, excess progesterone can take on this like sedative-like effect and cause you to feel even more lethargic. Low adrenal function can do the same thing. And so again, getting tested will help you pinpoint exactly where your imbalance is, and so we can be sure to support you in the right place and the right hormone. Instead of just guessing why you might be tired, looking at your hormone profile can give us some really good ideas on what to target. High levels of progesterone are actually really safe. Actually, as I said earlier, when you're pregnant, your progesterone levels are 100 to 200 times what they are before pregnancy. So it's not an unsafe thing to have high levels of progesterone, but we do want it to be in balance so you feel your best and so you function well and you maintain fertility and you maintain just proper balance of your other hormones as well. So it's very, very uncomfortable when your progesterone is out of balance. And when you know something is off, it's often progesterone. You just don't feel right. And as Jeff says here, low libido, boo-hoo, is so true. If you don't feel like enjoying your partner, if you're not feeling passionate, your life is not as much fun. So it's so worth testing to find out where your hormones are. And if progesterone is off, there's so many things that we can do naturally to support your progesterone levels. Everything that we do in FEWL is really lifestyle support to get your hormones back on track. So one of the first things that we're always going to look at, of course, is diet. What are you putting in your body, and are you getting the nutrients that you need so you can produce the hormones that you need and produce them in the right balance? So in ways that we're going to increase your nutrient capacity is by eating real food, right? So you got to get rid of the processed foods. You have to minimize the sugar and the alcohol and the caffeine, and you've got to focus on really nutrient-dense foods. Some of the specific nutrients that are useful to get your hormones, especially progesterone, back on track are high amounts of vitamin C, vitamin E, protein. There's actually an amino acid, arginine, that there's studies that show some supplemental arginine can boost progesterone production in women. That's why you really need to get it from a food source, and so protein levels can definitely affect your hormone balance. So you've got to get good protein. And zinc is another nutrient where studies show a proper balance of zinc will help to produce the proper balance of progesterone in your system. So again, fiber is going to help decrease toxins like estrogen. And when the estrogen decreases, then that will naturally help boost your progesterone levels. So what you eat really matters and really affects your hormone balance. So always starting with what you're putting in your body. And if you continue to eat bad, it doesn't matter if you add extra supplements. It doesn't matter if you add progesterone cream or over-the-counter or prescription. If you're not giving your body the building blocks that it needs to create and sustain hormone balance, you're wasting your time and energy. Decreasing your exposure to toxic chemicals. We talk about this a lot because it is so important. You've got to eat clean. So your number one source of toxicity is going to come from your foods. So when you eat animals that have been treated with hormones and antibiotics, you are giving yourself a big dose of hormones, and that is going to disrupt your own hormone balance. So you've got to eat clean. Eat foods, meats and dairy products especially, that have not been treated with hormones and antibiotics, that have been grass-fed and pasture-raised if possible, so that you get the highest amount of nutrients and the lowest amount of toxic exposure from those products. Eating clean produce is useful as well, because the pesticides that are on in the genetically modified foods are endocrine disruptors as well. So you've got to eat clean animals and you've got to eat clean produce. Another way to decrease your exposure is by using healthy body care products. I like to go to the EWG, the Environmental Working Group website, because they have lists of ingredients that are toxic, and they even have an app that you can use, and you can put in the brand name of your favorite beauty products, and it will rate that product on how safe it is. Or you can just stick with a brand that you know is pretty safe. But one of the ways that we get the most disruption in our endocrine system is by things that we put on our body. So be mindful of what you put on your skin. That gets absorbed into your system and it affects your hormones. Supporting your body's natural detox pathway. So first we're going to increase nutrients with our diet, and we're going to decrease the amount of exposure that we get from our foods and from our body care products. But then next we want to support our body's ability to detoxify those toxins that are already inside of us, and from those that we don't have any control over, like the pollution that we're breathing in every day and the things that we can't help but to touch and get exposed to. So you have probably seen the FEWL's Detox Kit. That's an 8-day detox program where we're going to take you through the process of supporting all of your organs of detoxification. We're going to support your colon to get rid of the toxins, support your liver, and support your kidneys and your lymphatic system, which are your main ways that you get rid of the toxins. Many of us have some genetic issues that slow down our ability or inhibit our ability to detoxify. So if you know that that is the case for you, that you're genetically compromised a little bit, then you need to do detox on a more regular basis. If you're blessed and have genes that make it easier for you to detoxify, you still need to do a detox, but you might not need to do it quite as often. I have these genetic issues with methylation, and so I have to do regular detoxes, or I really feel it, and it shows up in my hormone balance. So you can always check out our detox on our website. It's an 8-day detox that will support you in getting rid of the environmental detoxes, as well as the internal detox, the internal toxins that are already in your system, so that you can help clean up your hormonal pathways and you have better hormonal balance. What else? Exercise. Exercise is probably, besides eating healthier foods and decreasing your exposure, it's the most important thing that you can do for hormone balance. And the key is that you have to get in strength training. Cardiovascular exercise is not going to boost your hormones like picking up something heavy. Lifting something heavy and really working your muscles to build strength is going to help to set your hormones and reset your hormones if you're really off track. We've talked about strength training in the past, especially talking about testosterone. And boosting testosterone is really easy with strength training, but it will also help to boost and balance your progesterone levels. So please take the time to lift something heavy every day. You don't have to do a really serious, long, intensive workout, but you need to lift something that's hard and heavy for you to lift, to build those muscles, to build and boost your hormones. What else? Managing stress. Stress disrupts your entire hormonal axis. We earlier mentioned that cholesterol is the parent molecule that then is synthesized by the adrenal glands to make other steroid hormones. So cholesterol is needed to make something called pregnenolone, which we'll be talking about next week. And then your body can make estrogen, progesterone, DHEA, testosterone, cortisol from this molecule. When stress is a constant in your life, it's disrupting your ability to make, produce, and utilize the rest of your hormones. Stress hormones disrupt your entire hormone axis. So you can't just be good at managing stress. You have to actually reset the hormones. So what I mean by that is, yes, you can be using techniques to manage your stress, because stress is always going to happen. But you have to have downtime where you are actually not stressed. You need to learn to resolve stress from your system. We carry stress, we manage it, so we think we're okay. But if your hormones are off, I'm telling you, you're not managing it well. You might think you're okay because you're functioning, but if your hormones are off track, that is a really good sign that you could do a better job at managing and resolving the stress that you're dealing with in your body and in your life. So I think it's really important to understand the difference between stress management and stress resolution. The stress hormonal axis is designed to put you on alert when you notice that something is dangerous or there is a threat. And then you go into fight or flight response to manage the stress or the threat. And then once the threat is gone, your hormones naturally calm down and go back to the state of calm. In this day and age, most of us live in this constant state of heightened stress where we're heightened into the fight or flight response, but we stay there. The normal cycle is to cycle through these hormones, the hormones relax, and we go back to this calm state. But I would bet that the majority of us here in North America live up here. And when we live up here, all of our other hormones get off track. So our stress hormones go up, and that disrupts things like progesterone, estrogen, testosterone, DHEA, all of these other downstream hormones. So we can't stress the importance enough of de-stressing. You've got to learn to manage stress, but you also have to learn how to have moments in your life where you are not stressed so that you can reset all of these other hormones. So I'll stop talking about stress right now. I know I can get off on a tangent there, but it's so important to know the difference between managing stress, resolving stress, and resetting your hormones into that place so that you're more resilient. So when stress does happen, you can manage with the helpful hormones kicking in, and then you can come back to normal. This is how you heal. Healing happens when our stress hormones are calm and under control. Okay, so we at FEWL want to help you with that. We want to help you learn to resolve the stress so that your other hormones, your other hormonal accesses can come back and be balanced. Whew, okay, that was my soapbox on stress. There's a lot of other things that you can do to help balance. We at FEWL believe that diet and lifestyle are crucial. It's the most important thing. It's the things that you do every day. Jeff talks about patterns, right? It's not what you know, it's what you do every day. And the patterns that you choose to continue to follow every day are those things that decide whether your genetics are turned on or turned off, right? So if you have some genetics that predispose you to chronic disease, it's your everyday habits and patterns that decide if you get those diseases or not. So when it comes to hormones, patterns are really important. You can use herbs. There's a lot of herbs that help to balance progesterone. I'm not going to cover those because I think that you first need to know what your progesterone levels are before you make a decision on what kind of herbs to incorporate into your routine for healing. You can even get progesterone cream that's totally natural and very safe if your levels warrant you needing a progesterone cream. It's over the counter, very safe, and you can get prescription progesterone as well. So I always recommend that you take the time and spend the money on testing before you do herbal or over-the-counter or prescription hormones, because we want to know where your baseline is, what we're working with. Then we can make the best decision on what herb, what substance, maybe a glandular substance or an over-the-counter or a prescription substance is best for you, and when to use that. When we're dealing with females, for instance, with a progesterone issue, the timing of your cycle when you take that progesterone is really important. So if you want to promote fertility, I would first get a test. I would then talk to a practitioner and get some ideas on what would be appropriate supplementation and when is the best time to use that so that you improve your fertility or whatever outcome it is that you're looking for. So we, again, as I mentioned earlier, we say over and over again that you should test and not guess. Using the Dutch test to help you understand where your levels are is a really good first step, so that we can then together make a decision on what is the best protocol for you based on your situation and your goals, your long-term goals, and we can move forward from there. So God, I think I covered everything that I wanted to cover. I don't know, I did that pretty quickly. Oh, I guess not. It's just 5:30. I did that in half an hour. So I don't know if there's any questions, and I don't know if I can see. I can't see any questions on my... See, without Jeff, I'm technically challenged and I don't see any questions. So I apologize if you have a question and I can't access the questions. So if you want to go ahead and type in any questions, or you can message us, we'd be happy to get back with you and answer your question. And please don't hesitate to reach out and make a free consultation. We would love to spend some time with you to get to know you, what your needs are, and talk to you about what your options are, whether it's your hormonal balance or whether it's your gut health or whether it's inflammation or toxicity. Please reach out so we can support you with your specific needs. So I am going to have to just say goodbye, say thank you. I'm sorry I don't see you all there and I don't see any questions, so I'll check out and say next week we're going to be talking about pregnenolone. So tune in next Wednesday for our Facebook Live. And, oh gosh, I do see Jeff on here now. Jeff just popped up. Giveaway. Wonderful. So I'm not sure why I can't see the other people or the questions, but I can see that Sandy has been on with us. So I'm going to pick Sandy to do a giveaway. Every week we give away a product. This week we're going to give away a product to Sandy. This week we'll do a bottle of Stress Buster. Stress Buster is one of our favorite best-selling products that you can use during the day to help you stay calm, and you can use it at night to help you sleep as well. And it's going to help with that stress hormonal axis that we talked about that's so important. If you get that stress axis under control, then your other hormones can tend to get balanced again. So Sandy, I am going to send you're the lucky winner of our free giveaway tonight. Thank you. And I'm going to sign off. Good night, everybody, and I'll see you next week.